सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। We have seen up until the third Anuvaka. Ideally, it would have been brilliant if it were to end today, but it ended yesterday itself. Anyways, so the thought in the third Anuvaka was different formats that the great Lord has to take so that he reaches unto us to snatch away various layers of attachments, cravings, and make us fit enough with enough vairagya, enough titiksha, and enough the internal stamina to grow in life. So whenever Bhagavan seems that he has enough love on the devotee, so what does he do? He provides an environment, an experience that we go through so that the next layer of our own incompetence or things that block us from growing are removed. Ultimately, the point being that we are led to a peaceful state within, because in that peaceful environment alone one can meditate. Meditation, unlike sold in the market, is not for peace. Instead, it is that platform which can be gained or which can be revelled in when you have the steadiness of peace within. A simple statement to always remember that is there anybody who says, or wouldn't it appear ridiculously contradicting when somebody says that my mind is agitated, but I am very happy. Happiness can flourish only in the realm of peace within, and attaining to this peace is called dukkha nivritti, the ability to transcend all miserable conditionings in spite of those conditionings. Coming to the altar of spirituality does not remove these miseries from life. If somebody promises you that these miseries will be gone, make sure that your antennas are up, they are up to something. But instead, the entire Vedantic scripture teaches how to ably handle these miseries and to transcend them. So these miseries will be there. There will be lots of overwhelming situations, and Bhagavan makes sure that he is providing those things so that we grow to the next level. When you get the ore from the mines, gold for example, you cannot use it directly as a ore. It has to go through lot of purification process. And one of the most easiest purification processes is to heat it up to a certain extent. So, all the impurities melt away, and what remains is that pure gold. And in utility, that pure gold cannot be used, therefore, they add a certain amount of copper, I believe. That is what makes it, and otherwise pure gold is about 24 carat. Okay. But very soft, very fragile, you will not be able to use it or mold it into anything. So, the interactive level, it cannot be used. Therefore, a layer of something other than that has to be added in. So, a layer of mind has to be added into that purity to interact with the world outside. Otherwise, it will be too soft a platform and there will be no interaction. But that whole purification process is a very intense process, and Bhagavan is the one who provides that in abundance. We see it as problems and try to run from pillar to post. Learn how to grow out of it, learn how to effectively manage it and handle it. Then we see a seamless flow of energy called life. So, this is what was in the third Anuvaka. So, there are about 20 different kinds of thugs mentioned in there. Almost every mantra, every yajush had the different kinds of shades of thugs. Now, moving forward, every Anuvaka has a dhyana shloka, a rishi, a chanda and a devata to be invoked, which we have been seeing all the way from the Laghunyasa. So, we have been understanding that every part of Anuvaka has the devata to be invoked, and there is a dhyana shloka. The last Anuvaka had a very long dhyana shloka. It was the Kirata Rupa. Here there is more of a different dhyana shloka, a simple one though. So, try to repeat this dhyana shloka, which is not a part of your printed versions in your books. So, try to repeat it after me. Bhasmodhulita sarvangam jata mandala manditam dhyayed devam vrusharudham ganeshwarayutam haram. Bhasmodhulita sarvangam. Lord Shiva wears this ash. It is called the holy ash. And where does he wear it? Sarvangam, head to toe, he is covered with this bhasma. Technically, there, we put it on forehead, the shoulders, and then you have it on the elbow, on the wrist, and the back, 4 points, in the front 4 points. You apply it. But Lord Shiva is quite liberal with the ash. It is after all ash. So, what does he do? That is his way of decorating himself. He is always enveloped with ash. So, there is this story that Bhagavan Shiva was in deep contemplation, and the gods had some urgent business with him, and they had been waiting for him for a while, and he does not seem to be getting out of that meditative equipoise. So, they go request Kamadeva, the lord of Kama. Cupid, right? So he says, no, I am not taking that risk. I know what you are asking. This is a very risky job. I am not going to indulge myself in this. So they all request him, and finally he sacrifices himself. He says, okay, come what may, because it is for a good cause, I'll offer myself for this good cause. So he creates a very beautiful environment and ambience around Bhagwan Shiva. Almost it is like a Vasanta Rutu. Vasanta Rutu with the birds chirping, the young little buds, opening up, lots of butterflies and honey bees, and the environment is so enticing, enchanting. And he tries every which way to pull that Lord Shiva out of meditation. Nothing seems to penetrate. Then finally, with nothing, with no more steps left, so he takes this, his arrows, Cupid's arrows, and then shoots them to Bhagwan Shiva. Actually, he doesn't get disturbed, but then instead of opening his normal two eyes, he opens the third eye. And this Kamadeva, the Lord of Desire, is burned down to ashes. This is the story. Now, the significance behind is that it is only when, because we see with two eyes, the entire world is perceived through these two eyes, but just this inert perception is not sufficient. You require the perception or the eye of wisdom to open up. Whenever the eye of wisdom, the eye of clarity opens up, desire, cravings and lust and passions cannot override such person. These emotions cannot overtake the personality. And whenever that third eye opens up, the eye of wisdom, then all these desires are burnt down to ashes. That ash he wears it as his abhushana, alankara, bhasmodhulita liptangam, the one who is wearing this ash all over his body. Meaning, it is to indicate that he is the most dispassionate, compassionate yet very dispassionate in his presence. Bhasmodhulita sarvangam jata mandala manditam, and he is having this matted hair, desireless that he is, and the matted hair shows his complete disinterest in presenting himself for any beautiful or beautification purpose. So, how is his hair? His hair is in a matted format. See, the traditional way of wearing a matted hair is, as the hair grows long, they apply the sap of banyan tree, the white liquid that comes, they apply in layers, and because of that liquid it coagulates all the hair and it forms the jata. Almost every yearly once they apply it to the new hair that grows. It is all hanging in locked hair, matted hair. And one sadhu who was wearing that matted hair told me the application of the banyan tree sap makes sure that you cannot comb, and there is not much of a intricate you can put your hand or finger and run around. Say, what if there are some zoo developed, living creatures developed there? What do they call them? Lice? Lice? Huh. So, when you apply the sap, all the zoo is eradicated. That is the idea, and it becomes matted hair. So, you are focusing on your self representation lesser now, because you are not wasting your time in front of the mirror. Try it as a sadhana, say for 15 days, to not look into the mirror. You will be amazed at the amount of time that you have saved. I am not joking. After I have lost hair, after I have become bald, there is no point standing in front of that. And the lines or whatever I put on the face, it has been doing it for 21 years. Even in darkness, if I put it, it will come into one line anyways. Swamiji, it is okay for you. So try it. Then you will see how much there is a longing to present ourselves as a body. That abhyasa is also reduced. And Bhagavan has taken care of it with his matted hair. And how is that matted hair? Jata mandala manditam. Because of the Brahma varchas of his face, the glow on his face, it is as though reflecting on his hair, which is looking shining. In spite of the matted hair, the hair is looking jata mandala manditam. Jata mandala is the matted hair. Manditam is having its own glow. And he is often described as, his hair is brownish red. No, it is not white, it is brownish red, his hair. His rest of the body is white, but fiery red, okay. Brownish red. Fiery red will be quite a dramatic way of explaining it. Brownish red. Dhyaye devam vrisharudham. And where is he? He is on his vehicle, Nandi Bhagavan. On the shoulders of Nandi, Vrishabha or Vrisha. So, meditate and imagine the Lord on the Vrishabha, Vrishabharudam, Ganeshwara Yutam. Instead of Parvati ji, who is sitting along with him today, he is going on a ride. A very strange combination of dhyana shloka here. You have never seen this being painted or portrayed or sculpted anywhere, that Bhagavan Shiva is shown as having the alankara of bhasma and seated on a vrishabha, and then he is along with his son Ganesha. They are going for a ride on Nandi Bhagavan. Haram, Haram, that who removes all the papa and the tapa born out of that papa. Tapa is the impact of papa. Papa is the act itself. So, both he removes from the root. Now, who is the Rishi for this entire mantra, entire Anuvaka? It is said Durvasa Rishihi. Durvasas is the Rishi. Mahavirat Chandaha, it is in a different chanda called Mahavirata. And who is the Devata? Devata is Shambhu Devata. Shambhu Devata. So, what do we do with this dhyana shloka, with the smarana of this Rishi, Chanda and Devata, when this Anuvaka is chanted, especially for those who have dreaded diseases, like long term diseases, they will be annihilated. I tried referring to how many times has not been mentioned. So, I am assuming as long as it takes to remove that disease, keep repeating it. So, along with this particular dhyana shloka, what is the Anuvaka? I will just read through the entire Anuvaka, so that if anybody wants to use it along with this dhyana shloka, they can use the mantra as well. Bhasmo dhulita sarvangam jata mandala manditam ध्यायेत् देवं वृषारूढ़ं गणेश्वरयुतं हरिं. Now the Anuvaka, fourth Anuvaka. नम आव्याधिनीभ्यो विविध्यन्तीभ्यश्च वो नमो नम उगणाभ्यस्त्रगंहतीभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो गृत्सेभ्यो गृत्सपतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो व्रातेभ्यो व्रातपतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो गणेभ्यो गणपतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो विरूपेभ्यो विश्वरूपेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो महद्भ्यः क्षुल्लकेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो रथेभ्यो रथेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो रथेभ्यो रथपतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः सेनाभ्यस्सेनानिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः क्षत्रभ्यः संग्रहीतृभ्यश्च वो नमो नमस्तक्षद्भ्यो रथकारेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः कुलालेभ्यः कर्मारेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः पुंजिष्टेभ्यो निषादेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः इषुकृद्भ्यो धन्वकृद्भ्यश्च वो नमो नमो मृगयुभ्यश्वनिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः श्वभ्यश्वपतिभ्यश्च वो नमः. Two places in this particular mantra, the entire visarga is pronounced. According to the Sanskrit grammar, usually when the visarga, which is those two dots, which represents half ha, when that visarga is followed by any other vowel or any other consonant, it gets into that varga and becomes that kind of sound. When it is followed by sa, it almost becomes like sa. When it is followed by pa, it becomes almost like fa. So it changes. But here, when it is followed by ksha, it does not merge. Therefore, we have to enunciate that very clearly. Namo mahadbhyaha क्षुल्लकेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो. That is one place. And the second place is सेनाभ्यस्सेनानिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः क्षत्रभ्यः संग्रहीतृभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः. So these two places, when the visarga is followed by ksha, you say the entire visarga clearly. Since we are talking about the grammar rule, when the visarga is followed by any vowel, it gets dropped. Therefore, you will see nama avyadhinibhyo, the very first mantra of the fourth Anuvaka. Nama avyadhinibhyo, nama, actually it is namaha. But when namaha is followed by a, which is a vowel, that ha drops. And when it is followed by any other consonant, visarga followed by any consonant, then it becomes o. Okay, let us get back from Sanskrit. Because once you start stepping into Sanskrit, it is a totally different field, quite an entertaining one too. Let us get out of Sanskrit. I am talking to myself, okay, loudly. Now the mantra for that day, we will start with Nama avyadhinibhyo. Repeat after me. Vividhyantibhyascha vo namo. This is also Yugala Namaskara. There is in the beginning and in the end you have Namaha, which will continue for a while. In few Anuvakas it continues. Nama, salutations. Avyadhini ibhyo, those who are in the form of feminine power that strike us from all around, unto such form my salutations. Vividhyantibhyascha, and they don't just strike from all different directions, but they also are able to take different forms. To such feminine power of that Bhagavan Shiva expressing my salutations. Isn't it amazing? And we talk about every human being has both aspects, the masculine aspect as well as the feminine aspect. As a mother, she is very loving. So, there is a feminine aspect expressing. But suddenly after she becomes mother-in-law, she starts expressing the masculine qualities. You get the picture, right? When the husband has done everything expected, there is the feminine quality expressed. Some mistake here or there is the masculine aspect. Like father is very stern with the children, while they are growing up. That day when he has to bid farewell to his daughter during the marriage. So, there was this father who was crying so loudly that the daughter was feeling embarrassed, the family was feeling embarrassed, the wife was saying, keep quiet now. Finally, the son-in-law looks at his father-in-law and must be a loving dad, that he'll miss his daughter henceforth. So, he goes, puts a hand on his shoulder and he says, don't worry Pop, don't worry father-in-law, don't worry about, I'll take care of your daughter. So, the father-in-law turns to him and puts his hand around the son-in-law and he says, son, I am not crying because my daughter is leaving, I am crying for you. I have had to handle this girl for about 26 years and henceforth it will be you who will be handling. So, I am feeling sorrow for you, therefore, I am crying. So, the stern masculine father suddenly starts expressing the feminine aspect, the emotions out. So, in the beginning of the creation, sa ekaha, saya evam with, there was only pure consciousness. But that pure consciousness recognizes his Shakti, inherent potentiality. So, as soon as he recognizes that inherent potentiality, that pure consciousness becomes the Ishvara. Now, where is that inherent potentiality? Within. There is not something separate. Our painters do a good job of imagining, whenever they paint both deities as separate. So, just a little brief, tangential, but it is something connected to this. Let us take first the example from an individual level. Each one of us sitting here have got different abilities, different capacities, different potentialities. Some are good at singing, Some are good at thinking that they sing. I would put myself in the second category. There are some who are good at cooking. There are some who are good at eating. Eating is also a skill. Whatever comes in your plate, served by your loved ones, to take it as the prasad of that Lord and not complain, itself is also a skill to eat. So, some are skilled at eating, some are good at painting, some are good at sports, some are good at various skills. For example, my skill now I probably recognize it as the ability to speak. Now, this ability to speak, is it something other than me? I have an ability and I have a control over it. When I need, when I want, I can express it. If it is not required, I can withdraw. But there is some conscious principle which has a control over it, or which has to have a control over it. So, though internally the consciousness and my ability or Shakti is different, actually they are inseparables. So, he recognizes that consciousness, that Paramatma recognizes his inherent potentiality, Srujanatmaka Shakti. So, what happened? Bahusyam praja yeti satapotapyata satapastapva idagam sarvam asrujata. So, identifying with his Shakti, starts expressing his Shakti out. So, as soon as that Paramatma, that supreme consciousness, recognizes his potentiality and starts creating, he becomes the creator. Creator is called Brahma. Creation is easy in comparison to maintaining that which has been created. So, as soon as that supreme, that Paramatma has to take the role of maintenance, he becomes Vishnu. And over a period of time, the maintenance requires a huge amount of recycling. I do not like the word destruction, because we have a different sense of understanding with the word destruction. So, recycling. There is a metamorphosis, there is a change that has to be brought in. Then the same Paramatma becomes Shiva or Rudra. In order to create, as a creator, his Shakti identified is huge amounts of knowledge. When you want to create, you need a huge database, right? And that database, that verily is Saraswati ji, who is his inseparable Shakti. In order to maintain what is required, his inseparable Shakti is, as a head of the department maintenance, his inseparable Shakti is resourcefulness, various resources, Dhana, Dhanya, Dhana Lakshmi, Dhanya Lakshmi, Vidya Lakshmi, Saubhagya Lakshmi, various kinds of Lakshmis. It does not mean that there are that many Lakshmis. It just means that there are that many aspects of that Lakshmi. One aspect that we all recognize and celebrate on Diwali is bank balance, Dhana Lakshmi. It doesn't have to, it doesn't just stop with that. It is one of the resources. And in order to finally bring in a change, see, this Shakti of Lord Shiva, when she is docile, she is called Annapurna Devi. Annapurna Devi, the one who has the ability to feed everybody. You mess around with this Prakriti, she takes a very different form, Bhayankara form, terrible form, and that is the form of Durga, Kali, Karali, Manojava, all these different forms. And it is his Shakti, that raw energy required to bring in any cognizable change. So they are inseparable. Is that point clear? Now moving forward, in the very beginning, in the Shaiva Siddhanta, as it is seen, we all know that in the beginning he had this beautiful form of dance. Yesterday also we were mentioning it in the standing position of Nataraja, Tishtadbhyaha, the standing position called Nataraja. During that Adi Tandava, the beginning primordial dance, how do you pronounce it? Primordial, primordial, you get the point. So in that primordial dance, one half was Purusha, the other half was Prakriti. So it is called Ardhanarishwara. Half of it is Shakti and half of it was Purusha. And in that unison starts the first seed form of creation. Now that feminine form of this Jagadishwara in the Ardhanarishwara is called Jagadishwari. And when they take to this creative surge and to bring this beautiful cosmos, beautiful creation into being, into existence, then that Purusha is called Kameshwara and that Shakti is called Kameshwari. Kameshwara, Kameshwariyoho samyogaha idam jagat. The culmination of these two starts expounding, starts expressing in the form of this beautiful creation. So that feminine form of his is his own Shakti expressing. So suddenly when you see in between the because one of the commentators, Bhatta Bhaskara, refuses to recognize that there is that feminine aspect of Shiva which is being explained. But there are other commentators who definitely agree, jump forth and agree that yes, there is that feminine aspect of that Lord Shiva. So when we invoke that Jagat Janani as a mother and we have been righteous, she treats us as a child with love, care and compassion. Gives with all love. Such one is called Avyadhinibhyaha. Such a mother, when invoked, who takes care of us as a child with all love, care and compassion, is called, and that too when we are righteous. Are we at all points of time righteous? You don't need to answer. Your little smile on your face was sufficient. And whenever we go the wrong route, unrighteous path, unrighteous behavior, then she becomes Vivyadhini. Vivyadhini, that terrible form that she takes, wherein it is so aggressive, punishing, and that also, that aggressiveness, that punishing attitude also is taken by the mother. Isn't it out of love, compassion and care? let us put that concept aside. You are parents, right? Yes, no, all right, some answer. Have you ever reprimanded your child? Yes. Why did you reprimand your child? For an outsider like a sadhu, when I am looking at all these mothers and fathers, they are scolding their child. Such an uncompassionate mother, scolding her own child. What kind of a mother is she? Can I make that judgmental statement? You tell me, why did you reprimand? Is it because you are sadistic? The child may consider that. Oh, what is your intention? Especially if you are reprimanding a teenager. The teenager would always say, I hate you. That's a very strong word. It still hurts to hear that word, but anyway, that's what you hear, right? What was your intention of reprimanding your own child? Discipline and put them back on a right track, in the right direction? Isn't that what the intention is? Yes bolo, na bolo. Right? So she also takes this terrible form, seems like. And after reading this, I felt really satisfied. Why? Between me and my brother, for my mother, when she is docile, when she is very good, we used to have mother, Amma. But when she was really mad, we used to have a nickname. We used to call her BK. Bhadrakali. She has taken the terrible form. You don't want to be in any line with her. She comes in this room, you run to the next room. She comes there, you go run to somewhere else. If you can, run out of the room, run out of the house. Let her become Prashanta Chitta. BK. So she takes this terrible forms of Kali, Durga, etc. Therefore, she is called Vivyadhini. So, Avyadhini ebhyo vividhyanti bhyascha vo namaha. So, Vivyadhini Rupa and the Avyadhini Rupa of the feminine aspect of that Parameshwara, Parameshwara's Parameshwari expressing. Meaning what? One difference between Ishvara and Jiva is that his Shakti is in his control. And our Shakti doesn't seem to be under our control. That is the only difference between a realized one and a non-realized one. That is the only difference between the wise and the otherwise. We don't seem to have control over our Shakti. Simple example, speech. Do we have any control over it? How many times has it not happened that you have stepped beyond the boundaries only to regret later? Only to say later that I didn't actually mean it. What I meant was, if you did not mean it, why did you blurt it out? Don't mean, don't say it. A simple thing, control on our speech. 5 questions to answer before you can say something. What to speak, when to speak, how much to speak, when not to speak, and when to withdraw. You know that your words are hurting the other person has been now cornered. Do we stop there? No. we smack them into that corner and pounce in, the hurtful words, so much is said, only to spend the rest of next fortnight twisting and turning, I shouldn't have said that, I don't know what was it. I got possessed. These are all cop-outs. Simple Shakti, and it was not under control. Okay, speech. The same tongue has got another duty, right? One is to speak, the other is to taste. Do we have that under control? Have you ever stopped with a chip packet eating just one chip? When do we stop? Until that packet is empty, whether it is this small or the Texan size. It keeps going on. And then next day morning, stand in front of the mirror and then, I need to do something about it. Somebody showed me a very good exercise to reduce weight, those who have the problem with weight. It was an amazing exercise. Next time, whenever somebody gives you anything which is tasty, which which you cannot stop after a certain while, whenever they present it, sit straight or stand straight. It is just the movement of your neck. So, take your neck, move your head all the way to the right and then move it all the way to the left. Do it vigorously 5-6 times. This is the sweetest exercise to stay trim. I am taking various samples of life. Whenever we need, can we sleep? I need to sleep for next half hour, not during my class. I need to sleep for half an hour. Will I sleep immediately? Very few rare ones. They fall on the bed, snore away. Sleeping in becomes a problem. Okay, sleeping is a problem. Then waking up should be easy. Is waking up easy? Unless we have some kind of, we call it insomnia. And if you are a light sleeper and there is by mistake any sound, I can consider myself as a light sleeper. The first thunderstorm that I slept through in Dallas about 11-12 years ago, I was suddenly woken up, what is this sound? Like the doors, windows and the entire building was like trembling. I just got away. What, I am in a haunted house? And once you get up, again to fall asleep is a big trouble. Which aspect of our Shakti? One was Tamasic Shakti, the second one was Rajasic Shakti, the third one is Sattvic Shakti. Which one of these Shaktis is under control? That we can invoke that Shakti, use it appropriately, and when done, close it. Instead, we swing according to whichever mood it carries. When we have to be Sattvic, we become Tamasic. When we have to be Tamasic, we become Rajasic. When we have to be Rajasic, we become Sattvic. Ha 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 ha. See, at this moment you have to be sattvic. Sattvic meaning focused, with purity, intensity to listen, understand. I can understand, I will cut some slack in, because you have had a long day, and after that long day you have had your dinner, and then you come here and this is because to yawn is little awkward, so you learn, internalize the yawn. From here you can see everything. And then sometimes, yes, the eyelids are like heavy lead falling, and you are like forcefully, and then you come out, and then whenever it nods, and then you suddenly wake up, check if somebody is observing, and then again go back. And the best part is when you come with spouse and one of your the spouse is sleeping and the other partner is feeling so awkward, then he very conveniently pushes that hand and then this is where you have to be sattvic, we become tamasic. And when we have to be really asleep, then we become rajasic, fidgeting around with so many things, and we blame it poor on sugar, high on sugar. I think it is all just habits. Because back home, while growing up as a child, the last thing was, after we have finished our prayers at night just before retiring to bed, after we have said prayers, we would get one whole glass of milk with at least 2-3 spoons of sugar. And then you drink that, and then if you are coming from the Tamilian family, so after they have had dinner, they have the habit of drinking coffee. You are not a typical South Madrasi then. A little bit of coffee, and then coffee doesn't stop them from they sleep. So when we have to be tamasic, we become rajasic, and when we have to be rajasic, we become philosophical. What is there in all these things? Why? You have to fulfill your responsibility, therefore you talk philosophy. Whereas Ishvara has all these three things under his absolute control. Avyadhinibhyaha vivyadhinibhyascha vividhyantibhyascha. Now moving forward, the next mantra. Nama uganabhya. Sorry, repeat again. Nama uganabhyaha trigamhatibhyascha vo namo. Vo namo. Nama uganabhyastragamhatibhyascha vo namo. Nama, salutations. Uganabhyaha. Uganabhyaha, of these various ganas that are there with Lord Shiva. There are 7 of them who are called the superior kind of ganas. Among them, among the ganas, there are superior kinds. And you will be surprised. The superior kinds of ganas are called the Sapta Matrikas, 7 of them, and they are all feminine. Sapta Matragana. And these 7 are Brahmi, Maheshwari, Kamini, Vaishnavi, Varahi, Indrani and Chamunda. So these are the Uganabhyaha. Trigamhatibhyaha. Trigamhatibhyaha are those who are in the form of powerful deities that can bring in a havoc or a harm, like in the form of Durga, Kali, Karali, Mahamayi, Manojava. All these are different forms of that deities. These are also ganas, but they are released only to bring in a powerful effect. So, salutations to you who are in the form of group of these 7 pleasing, benign, feminine deities who bless us, and you are also worshipped in the form of these powerful deities that can bring in harm. Protection, blessings and destruction, all these 3 are different kinds of Shaktis. So, what are these Shaktis? Utkrishta ganaha uganaha ityarthaha saptamatrikaha. What does uganaha mean? Utkrishta ganaha, superior kind of ganas. Among the various ganas, these 7 are highly, they are beautiful, they are more compassionate. Saptamatrikaha ityarthaha. They are these 7 deities that we have already seen. Trigamhatibhyaha, who are these? Durgadi ityarthaha. They are the Durga, Kali, Karali, the names that we have seen so far. This is one meaning. The second meaning is the Utkrishta Ganaha, they are Shanti, Danti, Uparati, Titiksha, Samadhi, Shraddha. These are called the Utkrishta Ganaha, that which takes us or prepares us to be a better personality, a better human being. These are called the Utkrishta Ganaha. So, first one, what is Shanti? I will tell to each one. Shanti. When do we get Shanti? When we know how to withdraw our mind appropriately in right times. Meaning, those who have control over their mind. That is when we have peace. Those who do not have controlled mind, put them in a peaceful environment, they will be the cause of all disturbance and distraction. You know, when the child is hyper, I don't know how it works. If that were the kind of punishment given to me when I was growing up, oh, I would have had such a blast. In this country they say, time out, go. I would have done a lot of mischief only to get time out so that I could run away. Sit in the corner. And the poor child. Now, how long? A 30-second time out. As soon as that is a mini tornado again starts. If the mind is not under control, if the mind is not under our accessible realm, that is when we have Ashanti. So, to have that in Vedanta we call it as Shama, to have control over mind. Danti. Danti is that when we experience the organs of perception and action do not have eczema. Have you ever seen somebody with an eczema? They cannot sit quiet, constantly scratching. Our organs of perception action have the constant eczema of habits. If that thing does not happen in that particular time of habit, there is such a craving that it starts creating. Eyes have their own cravings, ears have their own cravings, nose has its own craving, the mouth has its own craving, the sense of touch has its own craving. The sense of habit, like it gets into it. The ability to order these organs of perception action to stay put in their individual sensory perceptions without moving here and there as long as you want it to. The best thing to see this is a funny thing is meditation class. As in sit straight. How long is that sit straight? 2 minutes. At the end of 2 minutes, again you say observe your posture, sit straight. It becomes a question mark. Close your eyes. After a while, you're sitting quiet, everybody is quiet, and you just, everybody quiet? Really? Why? Close your eyes. This is not kids. These are adults. Shanti, Danti. In Vedanta we call this as Dhamma. Uparati or Uparama. Having thus controlled this mind and intellect, having thus controlled the organs of perception action, then rechannelizing them, redirecting them into a constructive, positive, productive channel is called Uparati. Therefore, Adi Shankaracharya ji in his Tattvabodha says, Swadharma Anushtanameva. The ability to stay focused, concentratedly focused on that particular vastu alone, not getting distracted with anything else. Almost to the level of saying, let the whole world be on fire, I am not deviating from this focal point at this moment. Shanta, Danta, Uparati. Next is Titiksha. What is Titiksha? Titiksha is, there are two words, so there is more clarity. One is called Tapasya. Tapasya is when, it is called penance, wherein you invoke on yourself certain discomfort so that you can gain something higher. Like for example, all these athletes or somebody preparing for Olympics and things like that. What kind of effort do they put? Constant, such rigorous practice. Have you ever seen them practice? Wake up early in the morning, go for a couple of stretch exercises, and then running, and then weights, and getting into shape, and then whatever is the sport that they are in, they play that particular sport. Practice it. So much of tapas that they do. Why are they exerting? Why are they sweating so much? Because they are doing their penance, tapasya. Similarly, you will find that you hear in Puranas that they stood on one foot. Try standing on one foot for a long time. It is not easy. First of all, we will be dancing around because there is no balance. And there are some who take the tapasya of say food practices, that every day I will eat only one time meal, rest of the time I will have only ice cream. No, that is not called tapasya. Rest of the time I'll eat only fruits. Some kind of tapasya which is invoked on the self so that you improve from the existing state to the next level. That is called tapasya. Whereas titiksha is as life unfolds itself, the depth of a personality required to consume as the experience unfolds and not get agitated by it, not get thrown over by it, is called titiksha. And that too with a smile on the face and peace within the heart. However overwhelming be the situation, know how to handle it and move forward. Without crying, without criticizing, without complaining that why does this happen to good people like me only. Such a big claim, right? Out of humility. I am a good person only. I am not that bad. That statement itself says that you are not that good either. So, to go through life with smile in spite of the situations, to carry that peace within, to not get disturbed by the happenings of life, is called titiksha. Then is shraddha. Shraddha is to have firm faith in four things: God, Guru, Gita or scriptures. I am just giving, God is G, Guru is G, Gita is G. Therefore, you can remember it. And then in your own self. So, God, Guru, scriptures and self. When you have firm faith, unshakable faith in these four aspects, then it is called shraddha. Even if one is missing, it cannot be called as shraddha. This is one word that I find difficult to translate into English with one similar word. It has to be a paragraph to describe shraddha. And then samadhana. Samadhana, to have the clarity of intellect. That is why head is up, heart is down. That the head carries clarity over the clouds of emotions. So, when all these qualities are existing, these are the utkrishta ganaha, utkrishta qualities, superior qualities, which prepares our mind, with a higher personality, which makes us more of a prepared human being. Utkrishta ganaha, these six are the utkrishta ganaha. Then is the trigamhatibhyaha. So, what are these trimhati ganaha, trigamhatibhyaha ganaha? They are Shruti, Mati or Sanmati and Vijnati. So, why are these considered as harmful? Harmful for whom? So, they annihilate sarva bhayankar ahankara. So, once you are prepared with the uganabhyaha, then you prepare yourself with the second one, which is trigamhatibhyaha ganaha. So, what are they? Shruti. Try to understand what the scriptures are trying to direct us. If you have one, what do you call, thumb rule? Rule of thumb is the purpose of the Vedic scriptures is to provide peace, happiness for the self as well as through that self to the entire world. This is the bottom line. So, when you go through scriptures, even if you are unguided by a guru, if you can relate back everything to this one baseline, how can this bring in peace and happiness to the self and then through the self to the world around? If that one bottom line is connected, the scripture becomes easily unfolding itself to understand. Shruti. And what is the purpose of Shruti? To shred that ego into pieces. Not pamper that ego, but to shred that ego into pieces. Shruti. Matihi or sanmatihi. Having heard that Shruti, having learnt that Shruti, it has to be embedded into that mati, into that buddhi. Therefore, the mantra that is chanted, Bhur bhuvaswaha tatsaviturvarenyam bhargo devasya dhimahi dhiyo yonah prachodayat. May this understanding of Shruti reflect as the shining light of clarity in my intellect. And that clarity in action is called wisdom flowing through us to the world around us, which is called Vijnati. The other meaning of Vijnati is, thus by the Sanmati, what do you realize? Realize the self which is of the nature of Satchidananda. That is when this Sarva Bhayankar Ahankara is annihilated. So, this is called the Uganabhyaha and Trigamhatibhyaha. May these no, you are confusing. The first sentence, his question was Saptaganaha. The Saptaganaha definition is with the Saptamatrikas. When you are talking as Uganaha as Utkrishta Gunaha, right, then we are talking of these 6. So, they are not 7. Just because I have stated earlier that there are 7, it does not necessarily have to equate to the 7 as gunas as well. So, there are 2 separate meanings given. So, the idea is, may these shower their grace and blessings on us and through us to the world around us. Uganaha and Trigamhatibhyaha. Trigamhatibhyaha can also acquire the exact contradicting or opposite meaning. And what is the meaning? May Ashanti, Swabuddhi and Kumati. May I worship these and may I be blessed by these by their absence. They are harmful, but may I worship them so that they are pleased enough to find their absence from my heart. Uganabhyaha Trigamhatibhyaha. So, may that Ashanti, Swartha Buddhi and Kumati be removed forever from this heart of mine. So we saw Nama avyadhinibhyo vividhyantibhyascha vo namo nama uganabhyastragam hatibhyascha vo namo. So the first two mantras of the fourth Anuvaka we have seen. We will continue this next month whenever we meet. The dates are already announced, it should be on the website. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.